All right. I got it pretty clean. It's not perfect, but it's clean enough I can probably put it back together. I'm going to pull this ring off here. Keep taking this ring off. You got to be careful because you don't want to scratch the skirts on the piston. You don't want to scratch anything on here. So taking this thing off kind of gingerly is, always the best way to do it. I just got a little pick here that I'm used to kind of pry it up a little bit. And I'm going to start working it off. Maybe. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And I can tell I got some more stuff here in the just kind of rolling around here. Well, let me get this on top. There we go. Now we've got to get her off. I still got some stuff here in the groove, so I'm gonna have to put her back in the soak tank a minute. Okay. I'm just gonna set this over here for a minute. I got the new parts out. Let's soak this in here and let this clean those grooves out a little better. It would probably do it running the machine and just letting it run and build up some heat cycles, but realistically I'm gonna clean it up a little. So while we're letting that soak for a minute, this is the new ring for the piston. I'm gonna take the old ring, we're gonna lay it on top of there, and we're gonna compare sizes and see if she's the same size, and it is. And is it the same thickness? And it is. All right, so I'm gonna say that's the right ring. I'm gonna take this old ring and just kind of put it to the side here somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna check this one other part here. This also, not only did it have low compression, it had no spark. So I ordered a new coil pack here for it. We're gonna compare it to the old coil pack. All right, I'll have to transfer wires over and all that good stuff, no big deal. All right, same size, same bolt hole pattern. All right, I'm gonna say that's good too, okay. Just gonna set that back in the box there. We'll get back to that there in a minute. That's my ring. I'm gonna dig this out of the old soak tank here and see what kind of cleanliness we got going on in this groove now. Sorry, I don't have anybody to help me with the camera side of things, so I'm kind of back and forth, but that's just kind of what it is. That's just kind of what it is. All right, I'm just checking these grooves here. You can also do this with the old ring. You kind of bend it or break it or something here, but there it is. And you put it in there and you just kind of put it halfway around it here, and you just spin her in circles until you get the grooves clean. But we're not going to do it that way. We're going to clean it. I know I'm probably not on camera right now, so you just have to trust me that I'm cleaning this groove out a little bit here. Yeah, I can see the carbon in the groove. This is probably gummed up where basically I would think they probably hadn't, they either used it a lot over time and it just, gummed up over time, or realistically they stored it for a long period of time and the carbon just hardened up in there and made things, made the ring stick inside the groove there. But that's why it didn't have compression. That ring wasn't floating freely. It was stuck to one side of the piston. But I'm soaking it one more time here for a few seconds. And then we should be able to start putting her back together. Yeah, these things they're not too bad. It's all about keeping track of your parts, remembering what you did, because you start taking things apart to figure out what's wrong with it. Well, you might not get the parts for 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. If it's on the slow boat from China, it might take 2-3 months. So remembering where everything goes, that's the challenge. unless you're, you know, blessed to have a dad like I did and kind of teach you all this stuff. My dad would tear motors apart and he'd just throw all the bolts in a bucket, and you know, you just knew how to fix it. You just knew what bolt went where when you took it out of the bucket. I don't know how I developed that skill, but I sure did. And you know, I gotta give my dad credit for that, because like I said, he didn't take the time to store things or label things or bag things or, you know, put anything in a certain order. He just took it apart, threw everything in a bucket, and then when he got all the parts in to fix things, he just went back at it and fixed it. Sorry I walked away there, but I went to get some carb cleaner. Get this thing here. A little spray carb cleaner. I got a soap tank that I use, and then I got this spray carb cleaner here that I'm using to clean a little more, if you will. But yeah, ultimately, you know, like I said, at the time, man, I thought my dad was just kind of being mean, if you will, and lo and behold, I'm, you know, 56 years old now, and if he was here, I would shake his hand and tell him, thanks, Dad, for teaching me all this stuff, because nobody, a lot of people don't get a chance to learn a lot of this stuff. You know, this is just part of the way I grew up. I mean, again, I feel pretty blessed. All right, so I'm gonna take this ring out of this package here. We got this to the point where we can probably start putting her back together. All right, pop quiz. Does everybody remember what I told you about piston orientation? Where did I say that arrow went? Now, this, while you're thinking about that, this ring, it's hard to see on here, but it has kind of a half circle cut on each end of this. So there's a pin in this piston, a little bitty pin right here. That little half circle has to be able to lock into that pin. If you put this in here upside down, you'll just you'll have a lot of problems. This ring will just spin in circles, and you might not get the compression you need to get out of it. And anyway, it'll be just a real pain for you. So you line that little thing up. You make sure you got your grooves going the right way. Now, the key is to put this on without breaking it, because these rings are usually fairly easy to break, brittle, if you will. So, you know, you just take your time. If it don't go one way very easy, you work it on the other way. So, because if I put any twisty pressure on this ring right here, I could break it real easy. So, okay. Where did my, here it is. All right, let's see if I can help it along here without breaking it. I'm starting to get her on there. Bam and bam. That was probably off camera too, but you can see I got it where it'll free flow, right? Remember that little locking pin I was telling you about? So when this ring is compressed, it locks on that little pin, and now the ring won't turn around. It'll just expand in its place. That's what you want. You want them lined up. We'll do that in a minute. So part of that pop quiz, remember what I told you. You know, little arrow right here points to ding ding exhaust, right? So these are the fuel lines coming out of this carburetor, so I know that's the carburetor side of the engine, so the exhaust side is going to be over here. So when I put this piston back on this rod, I want the arrow pointing to the exhaust side. Let me fish these other parts out of the tank here. Now the hard part again is putting this piston back on here, putting those washers on here. Again, I'm going to set it over here, but anyway, here's one washer, here's two washers. So you look at this crank or rod here. So one washer will be, let me get a pointer. One washer will be right here, and one washer will be right here. You're trying to do that inside the skirt of this piston. My fingers are big. I can't get in there and hold it on either side. So there's a kind of way to cheat this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this wrist pin here in this piston, right? I'm going to get it started. I'm going to barely stick it in there past this crank stop, or this part of the skirt of the piston. I'm just going to barely slide it past that. Now then, I'm going to take one of these washers and I'm going to put it on there. Again, this is the finesse part. I'm going to take this engine, I'm going to lean it away from me so that this wrist pin and that washer are going to come up from the bottom, so I don't have to try to hold that washer on there. Again, I'm going to verify. This is the gas tank side, this is the exhaust side, my arrow's pointing to the exhaust side. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to try to line this up. Again, I'm getting kind of brave here. I'm taking that rag off there. Okay. Let me do something a little better here. Let me get it totally on its side. And I'm going to try putting this one, I'm going to lay it right here. I'm going to try to get this on here. Yeah, that's going to be pretty hard. Try one more time here. Got my gas leaking out everywhere, but that's okay. It's just gas. I'm going to have to pull this wrist pin back just a little. This is real tight fit, so it's the challenge is real. Yeah, the challenge is real. Back it up just a little more. I barely got it holding that. Okay, so that fit on there that way. All right, so let's try this one more time. I'm going to take my pointer here, and I'm going to try to reach through here to hold that other washer. This is where you got to have some patience. Oh, I lost her. There we go. Put her back on here. Ooh, did I get lucky? Ooh. Now let's see if I can get this wrist pin in here. Let me drop this in here so hopefully I don't lose that washer. All right, I just ran that through there just to try to hold the washers in place. I'm going to verify. Yep. All right, so the washers are all in the right place. All right. So let me try to line this up with the rod. There we go. Okay. I got that bottom half in the first part of the rod. Okay. Pushing it up there. All right, now I gotta line this washer up with the rod. I think I got it. If I can get her to go. Again, finesse. It's all part of the process here. A little left, a little right, and pouring this gas everywhere. So, let me shine a little light on her here. I see what it is. Okay. I don't have that little washer where it needs to be. So, get in here and push a little, pull a little. Again, lighting. I go in the house and get my headlight put on here, but Okay, still gotta come over a little. Gotta come up this way with it. But this is why you pay so much money for people to do this, because you get these fiddle factors right here. And I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but it's just how I was taught. All right, I got her almost all the way in there. Let me verify my placement here again. Yeah, all right. Now that I poured the gas out everywhere. All right, so I got both of those washers secure. Pins in far enough that it's holding the washers. They shouldn't fall out. So now I'm gonna get this wrist pin and I'm gonna push it the rest of the way in, which is kind of tight sometimes. Best thing to do is find something about the size of that wrist pin and not bigger than the wrist pin, and just kind of push it in a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and set my snap ring over here on this side. And that way when I push it all the way through, I can actually ensure that I'm not gonna push it up too far and have to try to back it up. It's probably gonna be a pretty long video, so apologize for all that. Now, this is another tricky part. When you go to put this in here, if this little spring takes off, good luck finding them, because they are tiny. So, I'm holding it right here at the end of it there. I'm gonna try to set that little groove in there, and then I'm just gonna rotate it a little bit and get her down there, hopefully. All right, I think we got her in there. A little light on the subject here. Not quite. We got to get this little corner down. Where did my pointer go? There it is. All right. Okay. Verify one more time here. Okay, this one's got to go down. Bam. You hear that click? Now you know you're in there, and verify, and it is in there and seat it like it's supposed to. All right. So now we're going to get this here back in here. So you can, since it's not really wanting to go real smooth per se, I'm just going to hold this on here. And I'm going to try not to allow this to put too much pressure on the crank and or the bearings there, but I'm just going to kind of tap it back down in there. And she's moving a little bit. They make a press or a compressor type tool for this, but I don't have it. I'm just one of them old farm boys, learn how to do things the farm way. But if you hit this too hard, if you hit it wrong, you could actually mess up the bearings on the crank. You don't want to do that. There we go. Now we're getting her down there. All right, here's the difference in when I hit it like it came to a stop. Again, I'm gonna verify this side, make sure we didn't knock this wrist pin out, or the circlip or clip that holds the wrist pin in there, and it's good. So now I'm gonna get my other little clip here. Okay. Maybe. Let's pick it up. Okay, we're going to do kind of the same process here with this. We're going to try to get her locked in here without losing it. Again, we'll grab it right here on that little inside corner, if you will. I'm going to start it down here in the groove, and I'm just going to rotate it with my finger on it and hold it in there. Okay, now then I'm going to make sure that's seated down in there. Look at my little light here. That's in the groove. All right, folks. One more time. Carburetor side, fuel lines. Arrow pointing to the exhaust side. So now I'm going to get this all cleaned up here. Usually when you're setting these new rings and pistons and stuff, they make a like an assembly type lube. I have a version of it. It's not exactly probably what they're recommending, but it will work. What it does is it just builds a little special oil on these grooves that allows things to condition themselves and seal, because ultimately that's what you want. You want this to seal well, because if it doesn't seal, you won't have compression, which that's the whole reason why we're doing this. Since we've kind of pounded on this a little bit, I'm checking my crank, making sure it doesn't have any in play. We're good. Okay, just gonna lube up that ring a little bit. Okay, there's that little pin. My grooves are in the right place. Okay, now then, I'm gonna help myself. So, in order to get this in the jug, I'm gonna kind of block this piston up here at its highest point. Okay, making sure my groove's right based on my pin on the ring, which it is. Making sure my carburetor side, which is this side, is going to go to the carb side, and my exhaust side is going to go this side. I got 1, 2, 3, and 4 of my bolts are still here. Okay, and let me push this one down here a little bit. All right, and it's down. Okay, so this is another little tricky part. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to hold this thing so its grooves are lined up with the pin. I'm going to line it in this hole, and I'm going to push it together. So I'm more right-handed on this side of things. So I'm going to make sure it's lined. The grooves on the ring are lined up with the pin and the piston, and I'm going to get her started. And we got her, and I put it on backwards. See how that works? See how easy that is to do? No, I had it on right. All right, try it one more time. Everything's lined up. Boom, got her. Okay. Now I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna slide her down here. Okay, remember? Carburetor. I know this is the carburetor side. I know this is the exhaust side, just because I took it apart. So I'm going to bring her down here on the base, get her set down good. Looks like everything's lined up right. Gaskets on it, and we're going to start working these down. I'm sure there's a torque setting for these. I don't necessarily have it, and I don't have the right instrument to get down here on it, so I'm just going to snug them up by hand a little bit, and then I'll put a little my background on it, that how tight these should be based on feel. Is that how you really should do it? Nah, probably not. But again, this is something that I don't really have a whole lot of money in. It's going to be used by my son while he's in college at med school, keeping his, driveways and yard and stuff where he just moved in nice and clean and organized and looking like a doctor living in the place he should live in. You know, we can't have him. Okay, it's going. There we go. Get her cranked down here. Again, just kind of hand tight there. All right, so I got those three. Let's do this one. And it's humid out here as all heck again today. Now we're going to tighten these in a crisscross pattern. You don't want to tighten one side, and then you want to cross them. So I'm going to, you know, left to right, right to left type thing. And same thing, I'm going to use my little wrench. I'm going to lock it on here. And I'm going to do it in a couple stages. I'm going to do this first one, pull her down a little, come back over to this side. See what I got going on here, right there. Same thing, pushing down on it. I'm going to give it the same torque. All right, so I did this one, then we'll come back over to this one. I'm gonna do it again. Little torque. Get it on. Hard to do holding the wrench and that, so. There we go. Okay. Let's do it again here. Choke her down a little bit. All right. Since I'm already on this one, I'm going to go ahead and give it my second little series of torque. That's good. I'm going to cross her over here. You're more or less trying to torque these evenly. Okay. This is all aluminum, so you can strip it out pretty easy if you ain't careful. Okay. Get this one here. Okay. All right, folks. We got that done. Now, let's go ahead and put carburetor back on here. Now it's just a matter of assembling everything back. I'm probably not going to bore you with all that just because, you know, it's going to make this video way long. It's already probably long. Okay. We'll put our exhaust back on here. Yeah, I'd say this video is probably already pretty long, so I'll get the exhaust on here, and again, all these things take a gasket, so make sure you put your gaskets back on there. Again, I know mine are there because I took them apart as kind of an assembly, so. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put this little, let's see if I remember right, carburetor's there, so let's put this little heat shield back on here. Take these out. Don't drop this down in that piston hole. You have to take this thing apart probably to get it out. And before I put this on, I want to make sure that it turns. And she does. All right. I can already feel the compression in it, so I know that's going to be okay. And nope, it's going to go this way. There we go. Maybe. So once I get this back on here, this will be where I started the tear down. So, and then basically I will shut this off. Next thing you'll see is probably the third video of this bad boy running. All right, let me take this off this tripod just so you can see what I'm talking about here. So you know I ain't pulling a bait and switch on you. This is the engine. That's the back half of the housing, or there's another part of the housing. There's a part of the housing. There's the flywheel, or the fan, if you will. Again, so I did take this apart, and I will be putting it back together. So look forward to the running video.